morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Can I see some thumbs up if you're awake, sort of? Not really. Yeah, I'm not either. I'm struggling, but alrighty. Well, thank you for joining. This is our first advising online session. It's very different, but probably one of my favorite times because it's not a big group. Um, and Ada and George, if one of you can be admitting the students, that'd be awesome. Um, so, I mean, this is one of my favorite times just because we're not in a very large group. I don't know if any of you struggle with being in the webinars where you can't really talk or see people. I know for sure I'm struggling with that portion. And so I really like when we're able to kind of just meet as a smaller group and then we can answer questions and we can have a conversation. And so we'll be doing this as you look at the schedule multiple times throughout the week. We usually start off the day in this advising session. On your end, you won't necessarily be moving or anything. You'll stay in this Zoom room. The only ones that will come through will be myself, the faculty for your English or reading and writing and your math portion, and then the leaders to have their bridge leader breakout. So you don't really need to move, you just stay in this room and we'll be the ones that are kind of just shifting from one session to the other. So you'll start off, the Zoom meeting is the same every day, the meeting ID. So just know that this is where you kind of kick off the day with us. But let me go ahead and share my screen just so that you can kind of just follow. I don't know if I'll be able to do that actually. All right, Ada and George, I just shared with you a presentation. I'm not on my work computer, so this is probably why I can't share my screen. If one of you could, for me.
Yeah, I can if you want me to.
And I think I don't know if I have to make you host. Can you share your screen? There we go. All right, so I spent a lot of time and I made this into like little, it has some effects. So if you can press present, there we go. So hopefully this wakes you up if in case you need some color in your life. Perfect, so this is our online advising session. Obviously, as you know, my name is Ricky and I'm the advisor for this cohort. We have Araceli Gonzalez, one of our bridge leaders, and then Jorge Valle Medina as our also another bridge leader. So this is our cohort. This is really the group that you'll be spending the most time really throughout the next few days. I would say if you haven't had an opportunity to kind of connect with other people, I would say that should be kind of like your number one priority, because in the fall, once you start, really these are the people that you can go to for anything, right? These are, and you might not feel that way right now because it's kind of challenging to connect with people in a remote format. But I challenge you to be a little open, to keep in mind that everyone is starting on the same page. No one is too cool to be here. Like, you all are here because you've worked hard, because you've put a lot of effort into ensuring that you are going to higher education. And I think I'm a huge believer that you get out whatever you put in. So if you are not engaging, if you are not really participating with your leaders, if they're asking you questions and you're just sitting there, like, really just engage, right? This is your experience. This is your summer bridge. And so, I know it's obviously not the same in person because you're in the comfort of your own home. But all I ask is that you give it your 100%. I'm giving it my 100%. The leaders are giving it their 100%. So we really want to just make sure that we're all on the same page. So that's just my little spiel to kick it off. All right, if you can go to the next slide. See, I was talking about those little little effects. Hope you like them. Perfect. So within the next, I guess, hour or so, there's some things that we're going to be covering. One of them being our welcome, introductions of myself. Throughout the next few days, we'll have our leaders also introduce themselves. We'll kind of put them on in the hot seat. So if y'all have any like burning questions you want to ask them, start preparing. We have some advisor expectations that I'll go over. One-on-ones with myself. I know that I emailed out that link to sign up, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. I'll do a little bit more about the EOP introduction, and then let's see. I'll talk about our first year agreement for EOP. At the end, we'll talk about some reminders. And then if you have any questions, then we can go ahead and then answer any of those. Cool. Or you can go to the next one. And in the meantime, what I will be doing, I'm going to try to sign into my other computer so I can actually share my screen, because I actually have to do that after. All right, so that is me. I'm very big on pictures. And so we'll have some time this week. If any of you are kind of really big on pictures too, and you want to maybe share an important picture, just know that we'll have some time. I think, you know, my biggest thing for our cohort is I want us to build community. And I think there's an amazing way to build community by sharing important pictures with others. So if you feel comfortable, I'll give you all an opportunity to do that at some point this week, so that we can just get to know you a little bit more. So this is me. I'm not conceited, so I'm not just putting pictures in there because I want to, but the left picture I'm sharing with you because it has a very important significance to me. And that, I don't know if you can see the shirts, but that's Summer Bridge. That was my summer bridge when I came in to Sonoma State. So as you know, I think I've shared it with some of you. I'm an alum of Sonoma State. I'm an alum of, sorry, I'm also trying to log into this computer. I'm an alum of Sonoma State. I'm an alum of EOP. So I went through this program just like you are. And I had an amazing experience being able to connect with other students. I can tell you that my best friends to this day are people who are in this group that I somehow have been able to bear with for so many years. So when we talk about Summer Bridge and we talk about the importance and we talk about how you really do meet some important people in your life, we're not kidding, right? You really, even in a remote format, you can definitely connect with people because you all will go through this together. Obviously at some point you'll come and be on campus. And so really, I think there's a big benefit in having people who understand the struggle, who might understand your story and understand your background or have similar stories to you as you. So I just wanted to put that picture in there because I think it's really, really important thing. In the middle is a picture of my mom and I when I graduated from Iowa State about 2 years ago. Again, this is just a really important thing for me. If any of you are, I know that you're just starting off at Sonoma State, but if maybe a goal of yours is to go on to graduate school after being at Sonoma State, I'm obviously a big proponent of that. And so, hopefully, as we're having our advising sessions and we're meeting, then maybe we can talk about that as well. And then the last picture is just a little picture of my little family. And so the reason I like to show these pictures is to show you that I'm outside of being an advisor. I also have my family. I'm a person just like you. And so I don't want this to feel like there's any kind of power dynamic. And I want to make sure that you feel that you have access to come and talk to me about anything. I really like to keep it very real with my students. As you start meeting with me, you'll see that my advising style maybe different than maybe some of the counselors that you worked with, or if you ever meet with any of my colleagues, we all have a very different style of advising our students, and so you'll probably get to experience that. Anyhow, that's really all I have for me there. Okay, perfect. Prior to that, actually, I do want to go ahead and actually go to the next one. I want to see what okay, we can go back. I do want to do some introductions just because I don't think I've had an opportunity. If you can stop sharing for now. Um, I do want to see and get to know some of you. I know that y'all probably have done some icebreakers already in your groups, but this is also the time where we're all coming together. And so if y'all can, we'll do some popcorn. I just want to know who you are. I want to know what high school you're coming from, and then also your major. And I think we have some time. If you just want to share how you're feeling this morning, just one word to describe your emotions, that would be awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll have our amazing leaders start off and then popcorn to our students. And by that, I mean, Jorge, you can go ahead and start.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I hope you guys are having the best morning ever. My name is Jorge Vallemedina. I'm going to be a third-year sociology major. I go by he, him, his pronouns. Way back when I came from Santa Barbara High School. And this morning, I'm feeling excited to get to know my students a little bit more and just to interact with everyone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Araceli Gonzalez, but y'all can call me Ara. She, her, hers, ella pronouns. I am a hopefully graduating senior. This is always like the hardest, and we do this like the most, I swear. I am a psych major with a Spanish minor, and I hope to go into student affairs, so sort of like what Ricky's doing. What else? Oh, so I'm from Hayward, California, Bay Area. And also I went to James Logan High School. So if y'all know where that is, that's where I'm from. And I'm excited for Summer Bridge Day 2. And I'll popcorn it over to Yuleida.
Hi, my name is Yuleida. My pronouns are her, she, and ella. My major is going to be like criminal justice. I graduated from San Rafael High School, so I'm from the Marin County. And yeah, all popcorn to Denise.
Hi, my name's Denise Beavis. I graduated from Arroyo Grande High School. My intended major is English, and my pronouns are her, hers, yeah. And I'll popcorn it over to Peyton.
Hi, my name is Peyton. I'm from Marine Valley, California. I graduated from Vista del Lago High School, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'll go to Kayana.
Hi, my name's Kayana Castro. I graduated from Mountain View High School. My intended major is kinesiology, and I'm feeling okay this morning. I'll popcorn it to Yalid.
My name's Yalid. My pronouns are her, she. I graduated from Windsor High School, and my intended major, well, right now I'm in early childhood and development. And I'm gonna popcorn to Ingrid.
Hi, my name is Ingrid. I graduated from Montgomery High School in Santa Rosa, and my major is business. Guadalupe?
My name is Guadalupe. I graduated from Wallenberg High School. My pronouns are she and her. And my major is human development. Was that all? Okay.
Yep.
Did Alondra go?
Hi, my name's Alondra. I also graduated from Montgomery High School, and my intended major is chemistry. I'm feeling okay, a little tired this morning. I'm also kind of hungry. And I'll popcorn it to Richard.
Good morning, I'm Richard. I'm graduated Luther Burbank High School. My major is early childhood studies. I am tired as of right now. Who didn't go? Ashanti?
Hi, my name's Ashanti. I graduated from Esparto High School, and my major is sociology, and I'm excited. And I'll popcorn to Lizette.
Hi, my name is Lizette. I graduated from LCL in high school, and I hope to get into nursing. I popcorn to Abigail.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abigail. I'm currently undeclared because I don't know what's to pick really, and that's about it. Oh, I also graduated from Oakmont High School. I popcorn to Lizette, maybe.
I already went.
Oh, I'm sorry, I came late, so.
No worries. Eduardo, have you gone?
No, but okay. I'm Eduardo. I graduated from Alpha High School, and I'm majoring in biology, and I'm pretty tired this morning.
Who hasn't gone? If you can just go ahead and go. Everyone went? Perfect. All right, perfect. So thank you for doing those little introductions. So I know that these are obviously very brief. So as you know, many of you are feeling tired. Let me just tell you that Summer Bridge is very different than last year. So if you're feeling tired now, in person, you probably would have been asleep right now in sessions, because we go, just like we do it kind of online, and the leaders can kind of attest to this. Y'all would have been here from what, 8 to like 10 p.m. going back to back to back. So I do appreciate the online format because we aren't too tired. But if you're hungry, please eat. I'm very flexible. I'm very chill when it comes to our session. So if you, I know, understand that it's during breakfast time. So please take care of yourself also, so that I can go ahead and have your attention. So if you need to be snacking on something, I do not mind at all. And yeah, so Richard, for some of you who don't know, and sorry, I'm about to disclose this, Richard's not in California right now. So thank you, Richard, for joining us, even though you're not necessarily in our time zone. So I appreciate that. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead. I was able to jump onto another computer. Let me share my screen now. Alrighty, so I did want to talk about just some general expectations about Summer Bridge. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to talk yesterday, besides a very brief introduction. But you know, my expectations are really for you to just be engaged when we're having these conversations, I feed off of energy, and so I feed off of, if you are, low key falling asleep, if you're kind of just like kind of dozing off, then I kind of just shows me that you're not, paying attention and you're not focused. And so, as I mentioned earlier, if you can turn on your camera for a little bit just so that we can see you, then that would be an expectation. If you need to turn it off, if you need to go to the restroom, if you need to get away from your computer, totally not a big deal if you turn it off. But we definitely are noticing those who are keeping it off consistently. Just keep us in the loop. Tell your leader, tell myself, you're like, hey, I don't have access to a camera, or hey, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. That's totally fine. But we obviously know that we can. It's an easier way for us to build that sense of community and sense of pride when we can see you and we can actually engage with you. And this is only also to prepare you for fall, with how many of your classes will be delivered. Every faculty is going to be very different with the expectations. Some of them will tell you that you need to have your camera on, unless you truly do not have one. And so I just want to start kind of getting you comfortable and getting into that that habit of turning it on. Sometimes I'll turn my camera off just if I'm on a phone call or anything and I need to step away. Same with the leaders. We have other things that we also need to attend to sometimes. So one of my biggest, I guess I would say pet peeves really, would be that portion, right, of that lack of engagement. And I also want I want this to be just kind of a space for you all to feel comfortable asking any questions, being vulnerable with each other, because this is a time for you to really prepare for your journey at Sonoma State. You have access to me, obviously, throughout the semester and being able to meet with me. But right now, if you are having any kind of doubts, questions, concerns, this is really the time that you have to ask me those things. Our leaders, can talk a little bit about how our one-on-ones can go in our office. We have hundreds of other students that we see. Obviously, right now we're giving you our 100% or 100% of our full of attention. But in the semester, things change, right? We have our sophomores, our juniors, our seniors that we're also advising. So our cohort of students is very, very large. And so right now really is the time that you have with us. And so I don't take that lightly. I want to make sure that I can support you as much as possible. So please ask those questions now that you have that opportunity. The other thing too would be really just with Summer Bridge in general. As you're going through the program, I know that a big portion of it is kind of do it on your own time. And I really hope that you are doing it on your own time and actually watching those videos of services. Otherwise, you're going to be missing out a huge part of the reason that we do Summer Bridge. It's very hard that we weren't able to do live webinars with our campus partners because we have a lot of students who just physically can't join us. We have students who are working. We have students who, especially because of COVID, have now they've stepped up to work and support their family. And so we're very mindful of that, and that's why they're a lot of those town meetings that you see on Canvas, they're due on your own time. So my expectation with that is that if you can do it every day just to watch those, that's what you're doing. If not, by the end of the week, we will be going and checking into Canvas to see who has actually been watching those videos and who hasn't. And so if you haven't by the end of the week, I'll just check in with you to see what's going on. But a lot of our campus partners solely made these videos for all of you for Summer Bridge. So they did take the time and effort to create something to make sure that you knew what services are being offered for you in the fall. And even if we're not in person, since we're not in person, these services are still being offered to you just in a remote format. So I do want to make sure that you keep that in mind. With that being said, did any of you get a chance to watch any of the videos yesterday? Or has anyone not done that yet? And it's okay if you haven't yet. It's obviously just the first day. But yesterday we had 1, 2, 3, 4th. We had 5 different videos, small short videos that you could have watched. Has anyone had a chance to do that? And feel free to unmute yourself if you want to talk. I did see someone, Denise, yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched like one of them. I'm not quite sure.
For sure, perfect, thank you. And Jorge and Ad, if one of you wants to look at the chat, I can't see it because I'm screen sharing.
Sure. Richard said he just watched the tour.
The tour? Okay, perfect. Yeah, please watch the tour too. And actually, I think I was lying. I think the one that opens up is today. So I don't think any of them opened up yesterday. So the tour was the one that opened up yesterday. Watch the tour if you haven't been. How many of you haven't been on campus before? Unmute yourself so I can hear you.
I haven't.
I haven't.
Okay.
I think a lot of people haven't.
You. Oops. Yeah, so watch the tour. It's obviously not the same. For those of you who have any highlights, anything that you like that you want to share with your peers? Nothing? None of you liked Sonoma State?
Lizette said that that she enjoyed the food there.
The food, okay. The food is good. So for those of you who are foodies, we have some cool restaurants.
And Richard wanted to add that the other videos are opening up this afternoon.
Yeah, they are. So the 5 videos will be opening up today. So we'll check in tomorrow. So if you get a chance to watch those, please do so. And for today, it'll be the video on the Dream Center. So if you're interested in learning about the Dream Center, disability services for students, Seawolf Scholars. That's if for formerly or current foster youth. Trio, which I all encourage you to be a part of Trio if you can. And then MESA will also be doing a video on their services. MESA is for students who are in STEM. So if you're a biochem, anything science related, these are additional services that can help you. So cool, thank you, Richard. Anything else about campus that y'all like, that y'all enjoy?
The campus is small, so it's like everything is reachable, and then there's other locations like not too far from the school. Like there's a roller skating rink, like not next to it, but like it's accessible, and there's like restaurants, like breakfast places.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to come to Rohnert Park, yeah, I mean, campus is fairly small. You can, I think for the most part, you can get across campus in about 10 to 15 minutes. So it's a very, very small, just overall campus housing. The way that kind of we describe is kind of feels like an island. Like campus, the main campus is kind of in the middle, and then surrounding campus is all of housing. And so if you do have a chance to live on campus, there's obviously that conveniency because you really can just roll out of bed 10 minutes before and make it to class on time. So highly encourage you to check out the virtual tour just so that you can see some cool highlights of campus. But cool, thank you for participating. All right, so moving forward, I sent out an email yesterday, and I sent it to 2 emails, your personal email that you had initially put in your Sonoma State email. And I did that just to start off because I know that you're becoming familiar with your Sonoma State email. But moving forward, all communication that you'll get from me, that you'll get from the university, will be through your Sonoma State email. So if you haven't had a chance to actually log on to your Sonoma State email, then work with your leaders so that they can show you how to access it. I highly encourage you, if you can, if you have a smartphone, to connect it to your phone, just so you have that accessible to you. But all communication, you know, if I'm requesting to meet with you, that's all going to be done through email. So I sent that out. It's an Excel sheet. Please do not edit any of the times that are on there. just go ahead and put your name and last name where it says specific time. And then from there, you'll go onto Canvas and you will click where it says advising. You'll click on there and then you'll meet up with a student assistant who will, sorry for the sirens in the background, if you can hear that. You will go into Canvas and then you'll say, hey, I'm here to meet with Ricky, and they will put you in my breakout room. So sign up. We have a lot of slots for the next few days. If you want to meet with me multiple times, they're about 20 minutes long, so feel free to do that. I am requiring you to meet with me at least once, just to check in and get to know you a little bit more. I had some students check in with me yesterday, and I don't think it was too painful. So if you can just do that, that'd be awesome. And work with your leaders too, if you need help on how to sign up for the one-on-ones. Are there any questions about any of these? Feel free to raise your hand to the feature on there if you have questions. No questions, okay.
Also, can I add in something?
Yeah, go for it, please.
Real quick, if y'all do have a question and want to ask Ricky, like not in the chat or us, the raise the hand option is if you click on participants at the bottom. It should show you like raise hand option, I believe. But yeah.
Yes. Let me just pull something. Perfect. Alrighty. So now I want to talk about talk a little bit about EOP. You all are in EOP, and so some of you might know what the EOP program is. Some of you may not. And so if you've had a chance to, let me do this again. If you haven't had a chance to look at our, to learn more about EOP, I highly encourage you to do that. EOP, obviously, we're a department that offers you the different services that you're about to receive. And so I highly encourage you to stay connected with EOP, not just within the first semester or the second semester, but throughout your time here at Sonoma State. You see some of our bridge leaders who are involved with us. We have leadership opportunities. We provide some really awesome trips sometimes. Last year we did a trip to the city. We went to San Francisco, into a museum. We did a grad fair where we went to different universities for students to learn about grad school. And then we had dinner in the city. We've done other trips in the past. We've gone to the DeYoung Museum. We did, I'm trying to think what other one we did, I don't remember. But we always are trying to do some things outside of campus to give you all an opportunity to build community. And so don't just stay connected with us the first year, but also beyond. And so, I think it's really important to learn about the history of the program that you're in. Especially you going into higher education, you're going to realize and see that, as Miles mentioned yesterday during the student piano, if you were there, is that it's very different when you come to campus in terms of the makeup of the school, right? Higher education in general, most institutions are predominantly white institutions. That's just the way that higher education is. With that being said, that doesn't mean that there's no support for all of our students. Sonoma State, we have CASE, we have EOP, we have these programs who have supported underrepresented students for many, many years. And so EOP has a strong legacy of leading the cause in higher education and supporting our students. So I want to make sure that you have a chance to watch these videos, to learn about really the history and why this program is so important. And who knows, in a couple of years, I don't want to get political, but especially in our state, right? If there's ever budget cuts, typically the first programs that are always to receive any kind of budget cuts are programs like EOP, programs like that are supporting our underrepresented students. And so I put this out there because I think, with different generations, we know that our student activism is very important. And so I encourage you to learn about our program and see how you can continue to be involved in making sure that we can continue to expand our program to not only benefit you, but also to benefit others who will come after you as well. So EOP exists on all 23 campuses within the California State University. And we all really offer the same exact kind of format of programs, obviously supporting our first generation, historically low income students. So please watch these videos. We had a chance to go to this EOP 50th conference because we're celebrating our 50th year last year. And we took students to Long Beach, and it was a really fun experience. You can see some of the students in here are current or former Summer Bridge leaders. But it was an amazing time to really just learn about how this program started over the years. So, highly encourage you to do that. Are there any questions about EOP or any of the services that we offer that you might be kind of thinking about? No? Okay, perfect. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, let me stop sharing for 1 second. All right, so the next portion is something I want to talk about. It's called our EOP First Time First Year Agreement. And you'll be receiving this in the next few days in a DocuSign format where you will be able to fill in your student name, your ID, and then sign it off. If you're under 18, currently under 18, you'll need a parent signature as well. But basically, we can obviously read through it right now. But once you receive it, feel free to go through it. But this is kind of just outlining the different services and kind of just the agreement that we're going into, especially because you're receiving an EOP grant. So with you being an EOP, there's a financial piece that comes with it. And so when I say, being involved with EOP, beyond your first year, don't just meet with us because you're like, okay, well, I need the money, which sure, I mean, we all need it, obviously. But stay involved, right? Want to make sure that you are engaged with our program and that you are really taking advantage of your admission into this program. We have thousands of students that applied, and you should feel very privileged to be in this program because unfortunately we have such a small amount of spots for our students. So we just want to make sure that you know what support is here for you. So kind of just this agreement, it kind of just outlines the services that we help you with. So obviously learning about Sonoma State, talking about academic policies. This is very different than in high school. So if you don't do well a semester, you end up being on probation. If you don't do well after that semester, then you are academically disqualified, which means that you can't take classes at Sonoma State. And so one of the biggest things that I, as an advisor, have seen with students is that some of my recent graduates will feel that, oh, well, it's kind of similar to high school. Mid-semester, they're like, okay, wait a minute, it's not really like high school. I'm really overwhelmed with midterms. I don't really get, where I'm supposed to go for tutoring, such and such. Then comes the end of the semester, grades aren't too well. And they're like, okay, well, it's really not like high school. So please know that it's not like high school. Classes are not going to be in that format. The grading is also going to be very different. So those are just things that we can help you with. If you need any kind of referrals, so you're interested maybe in learning more about the Dream Center or TRIO, those are just opportunities that we can refer you to. If you have questions about, obviously, once you get closer to graduation, when should you expect to graduate? Do you want to declare a different major or a minor? We can talk about those things as well. Financial aid is also a big piece. I'm not a financial aid advisor, but we help you with any kind of obligations that come with college. So it could be maybe you're interested in getting a scholarship and you need help with a letter of rec, or you need you need us to kind of help you understand your financial aid. Those are things that we can also do. And if you're experiencing any academic difficulty, so when I talk about the difference between high school and college, students, we know that things come up. So maybe you needed to take a semester off from school because you're dealing with some personal things. We can help you and give you the appropriate forms to do that so that you can go ahead and take a leave of absence from the university. So I don't ever want you to feel that, you're on your own with this. We really, I'm here to support you. And so please make sure that you're keeping me in the loop with things. Really nothing is too personal with what's going on. If it's impacting your academics, then please keep me in the loop. When talking about letters of rec, I kind of just mentioned that right now. One of the reasons why we want to meet with you is so that I also can get a sense of an understanding of who you are. Otherwise, if you come, at the end of the semester and you've never met with me and you're like, oh, hey, I need a letter of rec, and I have no idea who you are, and I'm like, oh, I've probably just met you once. I'm going to be honest with you and tell you that I can't write you a strong letter of rec. So keeping me in the loop of what you're doing academically helps me know how to support you, but also give you strong documents that can really help you with, it could be like a scholarship or a job or anything like that. And then kind of just here going over some other requirements. You are required to meet with me in the fall semester, and you'll meet with me about 3 times a semester in order for you to get your EOP grant. We'll hold half of your grant in the beginning of the semester until you meet with me. You are required to be enrolled in University 102, which is our first year experience course. And many of you will already be enrolled into that unless your major is keeping you from doing that. There are some really intense majors where you really don't have any freedom to take other courses. Let's see, I'm trying to see what other things are in here. We do expect that you are engaging with us in our programming. Obviously next semester, we don't know what that's going to look like. But if we're in person and we're doing programs, we do have that expectation that you come and join us as well. And then also our EOP civility statement, any kind of prejudice or discrimination is not allowed within our program. There are consequences within the university that can also come out of that. So respecting everyone within our meetings as well is something that I take very seriously, and I'm not going to tolerate that at all, whether that's coming from you or from other students towards you as well. So in other words, really what we do, I'm kind of we like to put it that we're your lawyers on campus. We really advocate for you, and we're here to support you throughout the time that you're here. Are there any questions about the agreements, kind of the things that I outlined right now? No? Okay. Like I said, you'll be getting this in the next few days, and so you'll have to sign that through DocuSign, and then we'll get a copy of that once we've received it. Perfect. Alrighty, so we are coming kind of close to the end of our meeting. So just some reminders for today. We have we'll have different meetings throughout the week of different cultural groups on campus, different alliances that are here to support our staff and students. So if you identify as Latinx, you can join our Alianza Mecha Latinx Student Club meeting this afternoon from 1 to 2, and that is the Zoom ID. It's also on Canvas where you can click the link. And we also have some other ones that'll be coming up. We have our FOSU tomorrow. So if you are Asian Pacific Islander, you can join that one on Wednesday. We have our BSU mixer, our Black Student Union, and BFSA, which is our Black Faculty and Staff Alliance, on Thursday. We have on Monday next week our QFSA and QSA, so our Queer Straight Alliance and the Queer Faculty Staff Alliance mixer next Monday. So if you have a chance, if you kind of want to mingle with other people outside of Summer Bridge, you can interact with staff, with students, with faculty members, administrators that are a part of those organizations. And so our first one will be today from 1 to 2. I'll be there. I don't know if our leaders will be there, but if you want to join us, please feel free to do that. That'll be from 1 to 2 today. Reminders again, sign up for one-on-ones with me, and then watch the town hall meetings that opened up today. And we'll be checking in tomorrow if you get a chance. If not, if you want to kind of do it on your own pace, our next check-in will be probably towards the end of the week. So those are my reminders. Any questions before I leave? Questions that you might have? Any questions from the panel that weren't answered yesterday? I don't know if any of you participated in that. Any concerns, doubts?
During our one-on-one meetings, what exactly can we talk to you about?
Yeah, so I mean, our first one will be very kind of just an opportunity to get to know you. So I'll probably have some questions just for you. But they're about 20 minutes long, so obviously it's kind of limited time to talk about everything. But you can ask me about academics, you can ask me about anything personal that you are maybe going through that's impacting academics. If you have any questions, concerns, really, there's really no limit as to what it is that you can discuss with me about. And if you don't know what to talk about, don't worry, I have questions that I can ask you. So I know it can be kind of awkward the first meeting, not knowing what to discuss.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other things? How is this remote format working for all of you? I know that this is obviously, it's new, it's different. Does anyone not like it at all? Totally okay if you don't. I hate calling on people because I hated being called on, but I don't mind doing that so that we can hear from y'all.
I mean, I don't mind the remote form of learning, but obviously I would rather have it be in person because I want to meet all of you. But it's not bad, and it's just like I would rather have it another way, but it's not like this way is horrible.
Okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Other feedback? I did see some Richard say that obviously being in person, I get that. Yeah, I'm a part of our core team, so I'm a part of the committee that puts Summer Bridge kind of together and organizes it. And one of my committees was all of the fun things that we would be doing. So going to the rec center, having a dance, having trivia in person, and all those things we had to slash out. But so I'm bummed about that. Thank you. I appreciate that, Abigail. So yeah, so I mean, we have some things coming up outside of Summer Bridge, like outside of the normal hours. Tomorrow we have trivia from 5:30 to 6:30. If you have a chance to join, that's gonna be really fun. If any of you are looking to get involved on campus, or maybe even involved in your high school with like putting on events, or you're interested in putting on events at the university level, then you want to join trivia, because the person hosting it will be Mo Phillips, who is our Director of Student Involvement. She is the person that you need to know if you ever want a free shirt, you want some free swag from Sonoma State, she's the person, yup, yeah, I'll represent your shirt. She is the person to know because she's always looking for ways to get our students involved. She's doing some really awesome trips. And you know, if you have an opportunity to join in tomorrow for trivia, I think it's going to be really fun. It's not going to have to do with academics, and you're not going to be lectured at. It's just going to be an opportunity to get to know other people. So, cool, cool, cool. Well, I'm trying to see if the faculty are coming through. Cool. Well, for now, you kind of have a break if you want to take some time to get some breakfast. If not, I'll stick around if you have any questions. Ada and Jorge, are you either of you going to the mixer today? Or any of the mixers?
I think I'm gonna go to the Latinx Mecha meeting right after all of this is done.
Yeah,
Cool.
I probably will too.
Well, I'll see you there. I am seeing some questions. Advising link. Yeah, so if you go to Canvas and you click on today's date, beginning at 1 p.m., it should say advising. Let me look real quick. If you go to day 2, it says from 1 to 5, it says one-on-one advising link. And so you'll click on that. And from there, you'll get into a room kind of like this, and they'll just ask you who you're there to see, and you'll just say Ricky. I don't know if you're asking that or if you're asking for the sign-up sheet. That's also, I sent that out in the email. How would EOP help with study abroad and are studying in a different state for a semester? So we don't necessarily do any of that. We just refer you over to our study away office. And so there they have an advisor that you would work with, you know, in regards to finding a place that accommodates your major, that accommodates what it is that you want to do. There's some GPA requirements with some of them. Study Away did do a video for us for one of these days, so look out for that video. But it's awesome if you have the opportunity to travel outside of the country. I highly encourage you to do that. If you aren't able to study away or study outside of the country, you can also study in other states for a semester. Typically, our study abroad programs that are international, those are a year long. But for right now, because of COVID, I think they've put everything on hold. So, but yes, encourage you to study away if you can. Trivia is tomorrow. It's also on Canvas. And that'll be tomorrow from 5:30 to 6:30, and there's a link as well that you can click on.
Ricky, can I add something, please?
Yeah, go for it.
I would encourage you all to look at our Instagrams because we do post a lot of cool resources there. And yeah, we just want to do our best to get you all involved in the school. So I would highly suggest adding our Instagrams.
Cool. If you have any other questions, feel free to put that in the chat.
Abigail, I don't think you saw your message, but we do it July 2nd.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. All right, there we go. Having our faculty join in.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's it going so far today?
So far, so good, I think I would say, right? I think, well, now everyone's camera's off, but. All right, let me go ahead and make you both hosts.
So I think the first hour Reem's probably going to be running that because they're going to go over free rights, is my understanding, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good morning.
All right, I'm out of here. Have a good session.
Thanks for calling. Thanks, Ricky.
All right. Hi, everyone. Good morning. How are you doing? Everyone's doing okay? Good. Good to see you. Did everyone manage to get their assignments turned in okay? Did. Okay, wonderful. So today, let's see, I'm going to try and share my screen here. So we can go, can you all see the screen okay? All right, so let's see, I think yesterday we had a little trouble. I'm gonna try doing no, that's too big. So can everyone see this? Can you all see this? Okay, I've got a thumbs up from some, okay, from some of you, wonderful. So what I'm going to do is look at the agenda first. So one of the things we're going to do, and that's going to prepare you for also the readings due for Wednesday, tomorrow, is just take a minute and acknowledge the land that you're on. You know, express gratitude for what it, you know, for being on this land, and maybe consider if you know who lived on this land before, you know, what Native American tribe lived on that before. And if you don't know, it's okay, just kind of take a minute and be grateful. It can be where you're at, or it can be home, you know, somewhere else. Okay, so does anyone want to share anything about that experience? What I wanted to introduce you to, and this is sort of pretty important to me as well. I'm not originally a Native American, but the land I live on, I had a neighbor who showed me the other day a tree, and the way that the tree had sort of crossed, you know, they said that it was part, you know, belonged to Native American tribes that kept the trees a certain way so they don't burn. And part of the reason we have so many fires today is because the forests haven't been upkept in the same way that Native American tribes used to take care of trees, and sometimes allow some trees to burn so that we don't have forest fires. But one of the apps that you can look at is the Native Land app. Has anybody heard of that app? No. Okay, you can download it on your phone. It's a pretty interesting, and I will show you here. Okay, good. You can see that as well. So if you go to native-land.california, or if you even just put native land, and it'll show up. So for instance, you go into native land and you type in the territory. So for example, let's start here. So see, I went to just Google, okay, and I put in native land. If you're on your computer, go ahead and do that, just so we explore it a little bit. And then I just clicked on it. So this is just a disclaimer. So I put in where I'm at. I put in Petaluma, California. And what it does is it pulls up, it says, if you see here on the left, it says you are on the land of Greton Rancheria and Coast Miwok. So it doesn't specifically say, you know, the tribe, but it says what the land was before or used to be. And so when I click on the Rancheria here, it gives you a website. It says Federated Indians of Greton Rancheria, and you can get more information about them. And then it says related maps, which we saw. It says you're on the land of Milwaukee. It says Coast Miwok Territories and Southern Pomo Territories. And then you click on those and you learn more about those tribes and the territories there. So it's a very interesting resource. You can do that, and you can even put specific address. If you live in a particular address, you can put that in and it'll give you a similar finding. Now, I did try to, I did click my, where I'm originally from, which is Damascus, Syria, but it didn't really give me anything because it wasn't, you know, a land for Native Americans. So they do include that. But so you can try to put in, did anyone put in their hometown or where you're at right now? Did anyone try to do it while I was showing you? You all want to take a minute and type it in and see what you get? Yeah, go ahead, take a couple of minutes and just, we'll do that. And then you can just type in the chat room where you're, what you found, and then I'll just read it. So good. Put in the town you're in too. like where you're at right now, and then what you found. Okay, good. So Lucino, nice. Okay. Mindset blend of Ramatouche. So that's Guadalupe. So where are you? Remind me, I have it somewhere written. All right, San Rafael, okay. Well, no, that's, you allude that. Okay, so Peyton's is Moreno Valley. Okay, good. You're in Salinas, Eduardo, Papaluchum. All right. Santa Rosa. Okay, also the Southern Pomo, and then not the Miwok. Okay, and Rancheria. So as you can see here, it's really amazing to realize how many native tribes were in this in the area that you're living in, and I think this is a wonderful resource to sort of at least give gratitude and recognize that we are on, you know, this land, and also to think about geography, you know. And this artificial kind of way that geography can, you know, get us to think that this is the land, you know, like this is Petaluma, but was it really Petaluma, and who lived here before? Even in my world literature class, when I teach about the Middle East, I begin by talking about that the idea and the map, you know, we call it the Middle East, but that was actually a name given to the Middle East by a Western colonialist who decided to call it the Middle East because it was from their point of view. And so we call it that, but people who are from the Middle East, it's so diverse and so huge that they wouldn't even necessarily, I mean, they wouldn't have called themselves people from the Middle East, or they wouldn't have called that region the Middle East. It was just a name that was given by colonialists. So geography can also be pretty artificial. And the article that you're going to, I'm going to help you look that up today, so you learn to use the library, and that'll be your reading for tomorrow, and you want to be writing an essay about it. That addresses Native American, you know, the way that Native Americans were treated by the American colonialists, and and how they were trying to sort of civilize them, right, and get them to assimilate into, you know, their culture, American culture, whereas they had their own culture, and you can see from here so much diversity. So explore that some more, and thank you for those who, you can keep posting your responses. Any questions about that or comments? No? Okay. So, so like I said, the other thing I want to have us look at is to learn to access the library databases. And this is going to be important because for the article that you're going to, well, I guess today you're going to finish, if you haven't done so, there's an assignment for a talk to teachers, which I'm going to walk you through a little bit of today, and then we'll talk about free writing. So we're going to delve into free writing, and we'll work on annotations and note taking, and I will do that in connection to the article or to the essay that you were that I had asked you to read today. And I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it, but I'll walk you through how I did the annotations, and then we'll talk about the homework. So in terms of accessing the library, I would like to invite all of you to go to your Sonoma State Library, and let me close this here. So let me see here and share. All right, it looks like you can see. All right, Sonoma. So you go to sonoma.edu. Okay. All right, good. You all can see that. And then you click here and you can go to the library. So there's a right tab. And I hope I'm going slow enough. So you click on the library tab. And then you're going to get the databases. Now, of course, if you're not already logged in, which you are right now, it's going to ask you at some point when you pull articles to log in. But what you want to do is in the databases, so here is a keyword. Now, of course, if you, there's this drop-down menu here. So you can search by keyword, you can search by title. If you know the author, you can search by author or subject, okay? So, and then here you have newspapers, journals, right? A to Z list of article databases. And then there's encyclopedias and dictionaries that you can refer to. So you can click on any one of these, right? So if you wanted to click here, it'll take you to the encyclopedia, and you can choose, for instance, the kind of encyclopedia that you want to do. So here it's already listed in the A, you know, College Source Online. Okay, but we're not looking for a database. I'm sorry, we're not looking for encyclopedia or dictionary, but this is a resource that you have, and you should make use of it. I know a lot of us tend to go to Google right away, but you can't really find everything on Google, not always. So the name of the book that we are looking for, okay, so let me go here. We'll go to the library, is on Indian ground, okay? And the chapter that you're going to see in required is protecting the treasure. So sometimes I'm going to try here to put in the chapter. Let's see here. Okay, good, you can see that. So I'm going to try to write protecting the treasure and see if it comes up. Sometimes you need to put just the book on Indian ground. So you type in here a history. Okay, so protecting the treasure. I think even if you just put protecting the treasure on its own, it should try to find it. Let's see if it'll do that. And then you click here, search. So you'll notice here, it did this one something about protecting China's national treasure. So it brought up everything that had the word treasure in it, you see. So if we had narrowed it down, it might have been with the title, it might have gotten us a faster response. But it did find that on Indian Ground, which is the book we know we're looking for, has an article that says protecting the treasure. And when you look down here, it says online access. Now at the other end here, it says protecting the treasure and assessment of state court. You see, so it brought up so many things because I didn't put title, but that's good. I didn't have to go search through so many databases. It was pretty much a straightforward search. So we click on it here. We can click on the online access. Didn't bring it up for some reason. Did anyone else have any trouble? No? Were you able to access the book online? You were. I was able to do it yesterday. I don't know why it's not letting me do it today. So if I do here on Indian ground, let's do another search and see if it will come up. So here it says full text available, and then this is the online access. Oh, sign in. So I guess I'm not, for some reason it didn't see that I'm signed in, even though I am signed in. So sometimes it'll do that. So I just log in. All right, and now it should let me do it. But for those who've already, maybe it will let me do it. But for those of you who were able to access it, on the left-hand side, you should see something that says PDF. Okay. And if you want to click on the PDF. And I'm going to try to log out and come back in again to hopefully get in. But go to, for those who are already working, just so that I don't hold you up, go to the left side and then click on the PDF. And then it's going to, on the left side, put a list of all the chapters that are there. And Finding the Treasure is chapter 1. Okay. So I will leave here and come back again to Sonoma Library. Now, once you see that chapter, there is an arrow that points down to the bottom. And in that arrow, on that arrow, if you click on it, it will download it for you. And that's the article, and that's the essay that you want to read. So, and it still will not let me do it. So this one here is a textbook. I don't think they're doing interlibrary loan, but so for some books, it says we'll get it for you interlibrary loan. And what it's saying here is that the library doesn't have a physical copy of it, but if you request it, they will get you a physical copy. That'll come in, I think, handy when you are actually physically on campus. But for some reason, my computer is not cooperating this morning. But can I see everyone get a thumbs up if you were able to successfully download it from my verbal instructions? Can you give me a thumbs up? And if you haven't been able to, I'm not seeing thumbs up. So you were not able to get it?
For those of you who don't know how to do a thumbs up, if you click on reactions at the bottom, it should be able to, you get like 2 reactions and then one of them is a thumbs up.
Okay.
I was trying to do it while you were doing it, but it would do the same thing that happened to you. It wouldn't let me access it.
Oh, so yeah, I don't know why. Maybe I think everybody's trying to access it at the same time, because I know. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of notes. Okay. Because I know I did try it yesterday, and I was able to download the chapter. Nope. Okay. Arceli, did you try to do it?
Yeah, I couldn't also do it.
You couldn't do it. Okay, so it might be that there's just too much traffic on that. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and post a copy of the article, and I'll let our coordinator know that you weren't able to access it. But you do know, if in the perfect world, how you would be able to access that chapter, right? It's really nice. It'll let you download that particular chapter. And so sometimes if a professor has a book and that it's in the library and it's online and you don't want to buy it, and they're requiring, let's say, 3 chapters, you could download those chapters if they're in the library database. You see, so you kind of save money that way if you're able to do it. And if it cooperates. My sense is, I think maybe most I don't really know, but I think maybe too many people are trying to access the database. Who knows? But I know it does work. Okay, so yeah, nope, it's not letting me. Okay. All right, so I will put a link to that article that is due, and I will let our coordinator know that we had this problem. Okay, but at least now you know where the library database is, if you didn't know before. All right. All right, so let's see here. So what is my goal today? You know, like I said, I wanted you to learn to access the library resources. Half of my goal has been done. But some of you, I started reading your free writing process. And what I want you to, I want to spend a little bit of time saying, okay, well, what is the writing process? Why did we ask you to do a free writing activity? And why is free writing an important activity? And we're going to talk about the strategies for note-taking and annotations. Dr. Kim Esther Williams has a lecture on that, and I will build on it a little bit. I'm going to give you also some tools to take notes in lectures. A lot of your professors are probably going to have pre-recorded lectures, and so for example, if you listen to the lecture by Dr. Johnson on a talk to teachers, he gives us a lot of really important information. So you want to be taking notes while you're doing that, because, for example, if you had an exam later, you know, or if you needed to refer to your notes for when writing the paper, you would have those notes available. All right, and hopefully you'll have, by the end of the time we're done here, you'll have confidence about doing the homework assignment to talk to teachers. Okay, so we did this. So in terms of the writing process itself, you know, there's this little, this kind of circle. The way you have it, it's pre-writing. You know, you spend some time pre-writing. And that's part of the free write process, where, you know, I wasn't, when I was looking, and I gave some of you that I read last night some feedback, I didn't say, well, you know, you didn't capitalize your I's and you didn't write, you know, look out and edit your sentences, because I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for, well, what are you thinking about? What is the main thing that you're thinking about? Because that's a pre-writing process. And so one of the questions was, what is your idea of education? And so this is important because it's setting you up for when you write your paper, you're going to use those articles to refine your idea of education, right? So in the next process that we're going to do is you're going to write a draft. And like I said, we're going to meet one-on-one. I'm going to meet one-on-one with you, and I'll give you feedback also online. But the draft is going to set you up. When I meet with you one-on-one, you're going to go back and revise that draft, okay? And writing is all about, you know, a lot of it is about revising. Now, editing is a different process. So some people, and I'm one of them, I have a really hard time not editing. You know, like, no, that's not the right word, and no, I need to fix that sentence. But then that gets in the way. So when we're doing editing, you're basically just looking at sentence structure, you're looking at, you know, punctuation, you're looking at paragraph structure, and just like the layout, did I do my paragraphs right? Did I do, you know, do I have all the punctuation? Do my sentences make sense? Do I need a comma here? Oh, is this grammatically incorrect? That's editing. And you can do that towards the end after revising. And sometimes you'll do a little bit of it with revision. You know, one can't help but do that, but you don't want to be trying to edit your paper and perfect it for grammar and punctuation before you have all your ideas in the draft set up, and before, you know, you've done all the revisions that you want to do. Okay, so so that's a little bit about the writing process. A lot of times when you're stuck, it's good to do pre-writing activities. Now, like I said, one of the ways that you do pre-writing is through free writing, but you can also brainstorm. And one way to brainstorm is you can brainstorm with me, or you can brainstorm with your peers, or you can brainstorm by going to the writing center and working with a tutor there. You can journal write, and you can do a clustering of ideas, and that's for more or less visual learners. So pre-writing really is the first step to the writing process. And so you just, you know, you just let your thoughts flow. You let yourself reflect, and the ideas can be all over the place. It doesn't really matter, right? And so try to go a little bit deeper, you know, when you're doing the free write. Take it a little bit more seriously, because sometimes you can really find ideas. And what I'm going to do this afternoon when I give you feedback, I'm going to spend some time really saying, okay, well, for your paper, one of the ways you can develop your idea of education is to think about this concept, like, you know, the social imagination, or think about colonialism, or things like that. And you don't have to follow them, but it's just kind of me extracting from what your idea is and what would be good concepts for you to think about further in your writing process. Okay. So I think we talked a little bit about the idea of free writing. You know, it does really develop your abilities as a writer. It builds your confidence. You know, that's its benefits. It helps you go through emotional themes and barriers. Sometimes, you know, you're not sure how you're going to process things or emotionally, and you have like some blockages. It promotes process and not outcome. And I will say, like, process for me is really the biggest, most important thing in my writing classes, and really most of my classes. And what I do in terms of grading is, it's called labor-based grading. And I do that with mostly my composition classes more formally, which is where you have an A in this class and you have an A on this paper, and we all agree together, like, okay, if you do, you know, the pre-writing, you know, the process, you know, you did the free writes, you did this exercise I gave you, you did these worksheets, and then you did your draft, then you did as much of the changes that you were, you know, that we had talked about you making, then you have an A on this paper, even though it may not necessarily be perfect, but it's based on your effort and the process that you put into it. And because we're, you know, different students they're at different places, working with you, I can see, well, you know, you did a really good job and you worked really hard. And even though it's not perfect, you still get an A because you went through the writing process, you see? So, because really writing is almost never perfect. It takes a long, long time, whatever you read as, you know, as a final outcome or publication of someone, that has gone through multiple drafts and processes. So now, moving now, I want to stop and see, does anyone have any questions here? I'll pull up the chat if you do. Let's see here. No? All right. But it makes sense what, okay, the point I'm making, right? Okay. So moving on to note-taking. Now, I'm curious how many of you did listen to Professor Kim Esther Williams' lecture? Did you have time to listen to it? She was talking about note-taking and annotations. You haven't listened. Okay, I will show you where it is. Some of you don't seem clear about it. Let me see here, new share. Okay, yes, you can see my screen. All right, so let's go here. Syllabus. Okay, so actually it's a little bit moving. So in terms, this is what you have to do for, it's due today by midnight. And so on day 2 of the reading, let me see if you all can see that. Yes, you can see that. It is shared. So on day 2, if you go to the syllabus on day 2, you will want to listen to a talk to teachers. And this is a lecture by Dr. Patrick Johnson. He's in the American Cultural Studies program at Sonoma State University. And this is the talk by Dr. Kim Esther Williams. And she is also going to give you about a little bit more about note-taking that I'm going to expand on a little bit today. And then here is a link, read it, a link to the article, A Talk to Teachers, that we're going to address today, okay? And so for your homework, you're going to develop notes for a discussion, including key points from the text, important quotes, your own analysis, and questions to ask your peers. Submit your note for credit, for credit here. So I think you should have the ability to submit those. And if you handwrite your notes, you can upload a picture. Okay, so this is basically the exercise that's required. So why don't you all, you want to take a minute to find that on your page, on your Canvas page? So go ahead, take a minute and pull that up, because this is going to be your assignment for tonight. Now let me know in the chat if you weren't able to do that, if you're still having trouble. Got it. Okay, good, Alondra. Thank you, Abigail. All right, good. Fantastic. Okay, good. All right, got it. Wonderful. And so as you're doing that, it's great, most of you have it. As you're doing that, what I'd like to ask you to do is go ahead and maybe pull up that article and download it on your computer that you need to read. The article being a Talk to Teachers.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do we take notes on both videos and the article, or just the article?
So you don't have to, the assignment, that's a great question. So the assignment's asking you only to take notes on a talk for teachers. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit because Professor Williams talks about note-taking for books or essays that you're required to read. I'm just going to give you a few hints to take notes on the lecture. It's not part of the assignment. You don't have to. It's up to you to do it. But it's a skill that you want to have. So in other words, for this assignment, you don't have to take notes. But I want to give you the skill, and because it's a good way to stay an active learner. And also, for when your semester starts, you're going to have a ton of lectures from different professors, and they may quiz you on it, right? So it's a good tool to have, like, to take notes, because you don't want to go at the end of the exam and have to listen to all the lectures again and review them. You can just refer to wherever you took notes. So I guess I'm just adding a skill to not just the books, because some professors, I don't know, they might ask you questions from the lecture and you would be like, oh gosh, if I had known, I wouldn't have to go through and listen to, 10 hours worth of lecture before the final exam. So yeah, so thank you for asking this question. But if you don't have time, don't worry about doing it today. But if you find the ideas interesting, like for me, I'm better at remembering things when I take notes. And so you may decide to use some of the things that the Professor Johnson, maybe not so much that Professor Kim Elster Williams says, because she's giving you a skill, but he gives a lot of really good contextual information about the history of a talk to teachers. And so you may want to take notes, and maybe if you had questions about some concepts or ideas he brought, you can bring them to class tomorrow and ask them. Okay, but you don't have to worry about posting them or anything. But thank you for your question. Anyone else have a question? No? All right, so if you do, just kind of jump in like Alondra did. That was great. All right, so let's go back here to what we were doing in terms of note-taking. So what I'll do now is walk you through a process, about note-taking, and why things to do to take notes is you can underline, and those are just different strategies, is you can underline key ideas. You probably already do that intuitively. You can box or circle words or phrases you want to remember. You can put a check mark or maybe a double check if it's a very important idea. You can put a question mark if you're not sure if you need to go look something up. I sometimes get like moments of inspiration, like a wow. So I put exclamation, exclamation, like this is a really amazing or like, you know, mind opening idea. Sometimes this is really good, is you can number the writer's evidence, or you can mark the thesis. You can say, you know, this is the thesis. You try to rephrase it in your own words. And the thesis is like, what is the writer's argument? You know, what is the point that the writer is trying to get across? And then you can number key points, and you know, you can point out any repetition that you see, because then you realize, oh, okay, this is a really important idea the writer is doing. You can also use different color themes. So this is an example of note-taking that I do, you know, that I did on the paper. You know, I use different colors. I made marks on the margin, you know, here. So yeah, I'm just checking that you all can see this, because I can't. So yeah, so this is one way you can do it. Now, if you wanted to print it out, I know I still like to have, sometimes I'm still getting used to just reading things online, but so a lot of times I really need to have a hard copy. And so you want to see what's your best way of doing, you know, taking notes. But you can also do them digitally. So I'm going to walk you through in the next 15 minutes of how we, you know, my sister, who's also teaching in Summer Bridge, and you could probably see her here working, we work really well collaboratively. And so we just walked through and took notes together. And so you may find, you will probably are meeting a lot of your peers here. And so if you work really well with someone, you can share the document, which is what we did. And as we were talking on Zoom, we were also writing our own notes as we were reading the talk. And so I'll share with you how we did that. And going here. Okay. So you can see here on Adobe, and I believe you can do it on Google Docs. I'm not sure if that is the case or not, but I'm pretty sure that you can do it. But you can see here, because it gives you the comments that you made. So you can see here, she was looking at, well, you know, she made a note. So with the Adobe, you can make notes, right? So here, and you can also highlight. And I am able to, I have a computer pen, and I was able to use that. Oh, here it is. It fell. To make notes. So I don't know if all computers are able to do it or not. But for me, if you look at the side, I said, you know, she was saying, well, this is, Razan says, thesis, main idea about resistance. And so I responded saying, is he against conformity in education, following the rules, doing what you're told? And indeed, James Baldwin is really, doesn't want, you know, students, this idea that the professor is the, you know, vessel of knowledge, and that you're supposed to just take everything in and assimilate. And so then what happens to your own culture, to your own ethnic identity? Do you have to conform and just do what you're told and read what you're told, you know? And he's, you know, he's saying, to put it another way, you must understand, in the attempt to correct so many generations of bad faith and cruelty when it's operating in the classroom, but in society, you will meet the most fantastic, the most brutal, and the most determined resistance. There is no point in pretending that this, and I was like referring to this, I think, resistance, this won't happen, right? So you can also see that I underlined and circled, you know, about the paradox of being in school, you know, and he's talking about African American. He's really talking about, in some way, his experience as a boy. So you'll see he uses he. But it's also, the article is written in '63, although it sounds like it was written today with everything happening politically. So he's talking from a personal experience, but also, you know, so he talks about, you know, the Black boy. He doesn't necessarily always use the I, but he's talking about the paradox of being in a society, you know, that is for slavery, and yet being expected to sort of assimilate and into that society. So I, you know, wrote here, this is the idea of conformity, because he's talking about the purpose of education is to create a person, in a person, the ability to look at the world for himself, to make his own decisions, to say to himself that this is Black or this is white, or to decide for himself where there is a God in heaven or not, to ask questions, right? But no society is really anxious to have that kind of person around. What society really ideally wants in a citizen, which will simply obey the rules of society. So, you know, so in other words, that you're supposed to go to get an education, so you obey the rules, and so that you become like a good working bee, right? And so I'm one of those professors in my classroom. I want you to question that, right? So that you find your own inspiration, so that you do what feels right for you, that you express your own sense of identity. But he's against conformity. He's saying this society that wants you to just obey the rules, but then what happens is when you are a Black boy, right, in that society, do you just conform? Do you accept slavery, right? And then here we're talking about the American educational system. So we made another note, because I found this, like, we were talking, like, wow, this is a powerful image to describe education. You know, to call the system of education as being schizophrenic is like a really powerful image. So we just noted that, you know, and it's, since we know that the paper is about education and the topics about education, so we are, you know, looking for those things, those clues in terms of what his idea, you know, where he's going with this, so that we can come up with those points. But he says, on the other hand, he's assured by his country and his countrymen that he has never contributed anything to civilization, that his past is nothing more than a record of humiliation he's endured. So that was another, you know, part of the paradox that I had circled above, you know, that, you know, he's obligated to be in that society, you know, he's pledging allegiance to the flag, but then at the same time, he's not considered to be someone who's contributed to society. So you see the schizophrenia here in the way society is. And so I just checked this paragraph, that this is important to go back to. Now here I have question marks. We put question marks there. And so it was like a question. So does the child feel worthy of getting an education that is equal to white children? You know, so I wasn't completely clear on what the point he is making, you know, and I think he's really saying that the child should be made aware that he's not getting an equal education, that Black children are not really getting treated equally or getting an equal education. But it was like sort of a question, because he didn't state it, you know. It became clearer as we read through the article some more. And so then this one here, we put together as an example, you know, like, oh, wow, this is a really good example. And so that you know, can go back to it later. And then here, I still remember my first sight of New York. It was really another city when I was born, where I was born. We looked over the Park Avenue. It was Park Avenue, but I didn't know what Park Avenue meant downtown. The Park Avenue I grew up on, which is still standing, is dark and dirty. So here Razan was saying, well, I really like how he shares his personal experience because it makes it, you know, more accessible. And so, you know, if I'm writing an essay, if we're writing this essay, we may say, I wonder what kind of personal experience I could share about the way I grew up that I could incorporate in here, and talk about the ideas that Baldwin is addressing, you see. So, because, you know, in your free write, you talk about, well, what your personal idea of education is. So are there things where you grew up that you could, you know, bring in to enhance your arguments, or from the concept when you're using the concepts he's talking about? And we'll talk about, or we'll talk more about the paper further. But you see, this is part of the writing process. It's sort of like, okay, just kind of getting the juices going and thinking about ideas. So even though it's not a free write, it's really, you know, the note taking and writing is really getting us actively thinking about the paper before we started even really thinking about it, you see, because we are laying out the ideas we might want to pull from the article. So another thing here on this page is there's something else the child wants every street boy, you know, he talks about. And we put in here, wow, this is reference really to white privilege, right? Which is still really relevant today. He's saying, you know, looking at the churches, the government, and the politicians, understand that this structure is operated for someone else's benefit, not for his. And so that the way society is built upon systemic racism, is what he's saying. And it's based on white privilege. And so then how does this child try to get an education, right? And try to make something of himself, while realizing, you know, that the society is not built to his advantage, that it's really built for the advantage of those who are, you know, rich, and those who are white, and those who are from a privileged background. So he's talking about white privilege. And that was just something that we had inferred from reading the text, right? Or reading this paragraph. And the other points he talks about is what happens to this child, you know, when he when he's trying to manage and survive in this society that doesn't really let him move ahead. And so he says he becomes a kind of a criminal, because that's the only way he can use. Harlem and every ghetto in this city, every ghetto in this country is full of people who live outside the law. They wouldn't dream of calling a policeman. And this one here talking about the ghetto living outside the law, not calling policemen, we said, wow, this really rings true today, especially with Seattle working to be a police-free zone, right? I don't know if you all heard about it. But yeah. So trying to see here, I heard someone come in. Are we out of time? How are we doing, Arceli, on time? I think we have a couple minutes.
It's about to be 11, so yeah.
So a couple more minutes. Okay. So so you see here, you know, different ways of note-taking and thinking, like here, wow, good quotes. So part of your homework is to come up with good quotations. Dr. Johnson has some good quotations too, that I think we were like, oh yeah, we highlighted those too here. Oh, and this is just something we did, was that we had highlighted those, and Razan was saying, this is interesting idea. Is it enough to change the curriculum? What else needs to be done? And so you see, we're just thinking actively about it. And we put on the margin here, identity built on a lie in lecture, because he really addresses this point in his lecture as well. So we're just trying to create a coordination in our own mind. And so when we come to write the paper, it's sort of like, okay, well, we kind of pulled out some key points on education here, some nice quotations, some reflections, or even some questions that we had. And then that sets us up to be able to more easily refer to this when we come to actually starting to write the draft, right? But you want to do this, and I know it doesn't say to collaborate, but you can try to, if you have a colleague that you collaborate well with, or you want to try to do that collaboratively, I'm happy for you to sort of brainstorm and do something like that. Okay, and then we will talk about it further tomorrow. Any questions? I think hopefully this clarified the homework and just the process that we're going to go through for over the next week. Yeah? All right. Okay, awesome. So I will leave and hand it over to Wade. If you have questions, I've got office hours today, and you can always email or call me, okay? And now I will stop share and leave. I think, do I just click end, Arceli?
Yeah, but yes.
Yeah, so I'm here, so I can just take it over.
All right, so I will leave meeting and hand it over to you.
All right. Well, I think we should begin. That was a lot there. I think we should just maybe begin with a 5-minute break. So maybe at 11:05 or 06, we'll get started. So yeah, feel free to get a snack or do what you need to do, get a breath, and I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, we'll just wait a couple more minutes. Everybody's getting back. All right, looks like most people are getting back in there in front of their cameras. Okay. So we had a little homework last night, right? We took a pulse and meditated, maybe did some light exercise. Did anyone have any problems with that? Was that any questions about everyone able to take their pulse? Maybe if you have any questions, you can just put them in the chat. I'm going to try to address those. We'll talk a little bit more about the information that you collected from that before we go today. But I wanted to put you all in some breakout rooms and have you ask a couple of questions of each other and just, kind of get to know each other a little bit, but also pick up some, ask some specific questions. And I'm going to share these questions with you here before I put you in the breakout rooms. Okay. All right, are you guys seeing my screen here? This PowerPoint slide? Yep. All right. So when I put you in these groups, I think we'll probably go to 3 people in a room. I just want you to ask, these are 4 questions. I guess the first question has 2 parts. It asks, what's your major? You may not have a major. That's okay. You can state undeclared. And then there's this idea of what school your major is in. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with how that works. We're kind of divided up into maybe 5 schools. And you can, I think I have a website open here. Oops, not that one. Nope. Here we go. So we have the School of Art and Humanities. It includes this list of majors. School of Business and Economics. We have the School of Education, if you're involved in any of those majors. You wouldn't be in any of these, the extended education. I don't think you would be in any of those. Then we have what we call the STEM field, the science and technology, which includes those majors. And then School of Social Sciences, that would be the other school. So that's what that question about what school is your major in is there for. We're gonna use that. We're gonna see how many folks have majors in each school. But anyhow, so when I'm gonna send you these breakout rooms, share that, ask those questions of each other, and maybe we'll give you, let's do maybe like 7 minutes. We'll join, I'll call you back at 11, now let's do maybe 8 minutes to account for technical problems. All right, so we'll be back here at 11:17, if I can get these breakout rooms happening here. All right, 17 people, now we have to do some math. I'm gonna put you in. So a couple of rooms are gonna have 4 people in them, but most people will have 3. All right, so I'll send you off in those rooms. Have a good time, get to know some folks, and I'll pull you back in about 8 minutes. So you're gonna get an invitation to join and just go ahead and click join. Yeah, Peyton, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so we went into breakout rooms. Do you have an invitation for breakout room 3? Do you see that?
No.
Let me see if I can send you another. I'm just going to send you to breakout room 4, see if that works.
Okay.
Same. I was having so much fun in my breakout room.
Well, you guys can always, carry that on afterwards. You can set up a meetup later. All right. All right. Okay, so let's see, is everyone back? I think so. Okay, so yeah, hopefully you got to learn some things about your breakout roommates. What I want to do next is so what we've been doing for your homework last night and what you just did, you're collecting some information. You collected information about yourself, taking your pulse, and you recording your mood states and things like that. And then you just kind of collected some information from your group mates. You just, asking them some questions. And, what we would call this in statistics, we'd say we're collecting data. That's a, kind of a weird thing to say to a group of people. If you're having a conversation, you'd say, can I, I'd like to collect some data from you. You talk to them, you ask questions, and that's really all that it is in the sense that you were just doing in your breakout rooms. And that's what, statistics is. It all begins with collecting data, but you usually don't just collect data for no reason. You usually have some sort of a question that you're trying to analyze or, get a deeper look at. And for the homework last night, that, hopefully you maybe thought about as you were recording it, why am I recording this data? What could this data be used for? Did it occur to anyone why anyone would be wanting to collect this pulse rate, mood information while doing, meditation and activities. What sort of question did somebody have, before they decided that this would be a worthwhile bit of information to collect?
Maybe because like it has to do maybe something with like school, and like if you like take a moment to like meditate and like relax, like you would find that students wouldn't be as like stressed out or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that right there, I mean, we have certain emotions that we find, are more pleasant, and we might want to say like, well, how can I, how can I feel that way? Or how can I avoid negative emotions like being tense or stressed out? What sort of things actually work? What kind of things reduce tension and things like that? So yeah, that maybe, that seems like that might have been a question driving this. Does anyone else have a take on that?
Maybe trying to find effective ways to relieve stress or control those emotions, like the difference between meditation, more of like a calm way of dealing with things, or exercise, a more exertive way to deal with those emotions.
Right, so we like collected, yeah.
I see which one works for you because everybody is different.
Right, because you hear, I mean, and this is the big thing, right? People talk, right? People are always talking. You might have a friend say, oh, you know what really works for me? I like yoga. And then you try yoga and you're like, man, that just made me really stressed out. All I noticed the whole time was how bad I was at it, or something like that. So what there's the question of what works for individuals. And then, when we collect data, sometimes we're trying to figure out what seems to work for large groups of people. Is there any evidence that any of it works? Because sometimes you're testing to see if something works and you don't find any evidence for it. But we have to collect the data in order to answer questions about like large groups of people, like whether we're seeing if drugs work for people. There was all this news about this malaria drug. Does it help prevent COVID? That's not just a matter of opinion. We have to collect data and test these things. So I want to start organizing this information that we're collecting. So I've made a Google sheet, a spreadsheet, and every row is going to be a row for a student. So you will have a row, and we're going to enter the data there's a number of columns. And I think maybe I'll share that screen with you. It'll be better than me trying to explain what it looks like. So let's go to this guy. Where's my sheet? Oh, nope. One second, I'm gonna find this thing. Okay, there it is. Okay, so what I'm looking at now is it's our shared Google sheet, and I have filled in the first column. So are you all seeing it? Okay, so you get first and last name. So the first few questions, the first few columns, it was my major, the school that my major is in, and I wanted it to record this as using abbreviations, and then the key for these abbreviations is it's all the way at the end here. And you find your school, and if you're undeclared, you can just use UN. And the miles from home, have I visited Sonoma State, which is a question we would have never asked previously, but in our new virtual world. It's possible that we have not visited yet. My number of siblings. And then it goes on to include the data from last night's homework, where we're collecting the heart rate. And if you have that with you, if you've written it down, it asks you to write on a piece of paper. But if you don't have that paper with you, you can complete this, you know, later. This we're actually working on your homework right now. So this is, you know, the more we can kind of knock out here, the better. But if you don't finish it, it can be done later. So what I'm going to show you is where the link to this sheet is, and then you're just going to fill it. You're going to try to fill that row and be very careful not to change somebody else's cells. If you do, just let me know. We can fix this. So this link is on Canvas. And if I go to my quantitative reasoning cohort and click there, this is the part of the homework tonight. So I'm clicking on Day 2 homework. And it says complete a row in this Google Sheet. So if you click there, that should take you to that sheet that I was just looking at. And you can start editing the rows, and we're all going to be editing it at the same time. And so I'm a little nervous about the chaos that might happen. I'm also a little excited. It's going to be just seeing it being populated, but make sure you're in your own, you got to, you know, stay in your lane. That's saying stay in your row. And yeah, if things go a little weird, I'll be, you know, on the Zoom chat, we can fix it. So that's kind of why I wanted to do it while we're all together. So go ahead and find that Google Sheet link. If you're having trouble with that, let me know. And once you find it, stake out your row and just populate it with your data. All right, so we'll take.
How do we figure out what school that we're in?
Okay, so there's a link, and I'll just put that link in the chat. So this is a Sonoma State website. And then, yeah, under each school, it has a list of each major. You can also, what is your major? I could tell you.
It's pre-nursing.
So that pre-nursing, let's see. Maybe it's STEM.
It's like, I think it's going to be nursing after we do like our general ed.
It's in the School of Science and Technology.
Okay.
So you would write STEM for that one. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then if anyone else has a question, just go to that website and scroll down until you find your major. Or if you want to put it in the chat, I can help you find it. All right, so I'm gonna just let us go for maybe 15 minutes while we navigate that that Google Sheet, and I will be here for any people who are having difficulties.
For me, it says view only, and I can't.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like that.
That's my setting. I need to allow people to edit it. Okay, open comment history. Can see. I've seen this before. Can't find it now. Can view, oh. Gosh darn it. Editor. Okay, let's try it now. Does it allow you to edit now? Okay, it looks like it's happening. That's very hopeful. All right, thank you for pointing that out. Oh, one thing, in the miles from home, don't put the letters MI, just put the number of miles, and then it will assume that that means miles. It'll help if we're trying to compute something from that column that there's no letters in it. Okay, I think we'll just do maybe like 3 more minutes. So if you're all done, just take another, couple minute break. We'll start at 11:40. I'll still be here on the chat if you have any questions. And to Guadalupe, I don't know if you saw the chat from me, but I gave you the wrong answer to your first question. So if you check the chat, I looked up the correct school for your major. Okay. So this is great. That worked great. That was really fun watching that just get populated. So I've just like downloaded a copy of that as it is, so just in case something happens and it just gets messed up for whatever reason, I got a backup file. So this was part of your homework tonight. So that we got this taken care of. If you didn't quite finish, you can revisit the Google Sheet and fill in whatever was missing, or if maybe you weren't able to complete last night's homework. But I just want to look at the sheet for a minute. Because this is this is what it looks like sometimes when we're done collecting information. It's just a big, cold spreadsheet, meaning it doesn't really tell us much just by looking at it. Maybe you notice there's 2 different types of data generally that we are collecting. Some of them are like the answer to the major question or the school, where the answer is a word or it's a category that we're looking for when we're asking for that information. And then there's also like the distance from home data, which is a number, which we would call quantitative data. I'm just gonna make that a little bigger. So that's just different sort of data, right? Like if we're talking about trying to make sense of numerical data, that's a different idea in terms of making sense of what we would call categorical data, which is like, what's your major? But regardless, when we see this much data all in one place, it's really hard to get a feeling for like what the typical distance is, or what's the typical major, or something like that. So we need to use this data and kind of put it together in a way that is like understandable to human beings, right? We're not a computer. If we think about a bunch of numbers, I'm going to stop sharing here. So for instance, all these distance from home numbers, what's a natural question that somebody would have about the distance from home from our group? You know, what might you want to know about that set of numbers? And you can just go ahead and shout out.
Like the average of how far away people travel to go to college there.
Yeah, that's my first question. Like, because we want to know, like, what's the typical distance? You know, how far in general is the group? And average is most of people, that's their natural go-to. Any other part of that data set and anyone be curious about?
Does distance away from the campus affect if they visited the campus or not?
So yes, the connection between two different questions, right? That makes actually things get much more interesting when we bring in more. We call these variables. Each one of those columns would be called a variable. So we would talk about the relationship between the variables, and that's often much more interesting. But if I can bring it back just to the distances, is there any other questions you might have from that set of data besides the average? What comes to for me, one thing that comes to mind, which isn't a hard thing, we can, since there's only maybe 20 pieces of data, like who lives the farthest, which we would call like the maximum, you know, the distance, or who lives the closest. And those would really be easy to look up. But there are actually many more ways to analyze quantitative data than just the average and the minimum and maximum. And what we're going to look at tonight, the other part of your homework that's still left, I didn't want you to get your hopes up too much by saying we just did your homework, because there is a little bit more. Let me show you what else you're gonna do tonight. So if I go to Canvas, here's the homework tonight. This is day 2, quantitative reasoning homework. Completing the row in the Google Sheet, most of you completed that or are almost done. And then there are some videos. There are 3 videos, and they're all concerned with how to create a visual representation with some summary statistics of a quantitative set of data. So the first video is going to be called something called the 5-number summary, which is going to describe an entire set of numbers with just 5 numbers. And that's going to be able to give us, we're going to be able to make a graphical display using those 5 numbers, using something called a box plot, which you may or may not have seen. But it's a way that we can show people a picture of that data. Oh, I'm seeing a message that some videos are unauthorized. I will make sure that those, I'll fix those before, right after this. I'll fix it right after this. Thank you for telling me that. So after we look at these videos, we're going to say, here's 100, here's 100 numbers. And we're going to be able to put those numbers into a little package with 5 numbers, and then also make a picture so we can show somebody else that picture, and they can have a good idea of how far do people live from Sonoma State with one picture. Human beings, generally, most of us love a picture. We don't want to look at 100 numbers. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to look at 100 numbers and make sense of it. But if I can make a nice picture, it can show me the minimum value, the maximum value, kind of where the typical distances are. And that's what that's our task now, is to kind of learn how to do to give us a summary of some quantitative data. And then we're gonna take that from there and kind of go to the next step, and how can we mix that in with other variables, like Denise had mentioned, like we can look at different quantitative measures for different categories of people. So that's tonight's, just watching some videos. And once I get them, once I can get you access to those videos. And I think that's all I wanted to do today. So I'm gonna hang out here until 12. And you can ask me questions or chat with me. I'll probably be trying to authorize these videos while that's going on. But if you'd like, you're free to do as you wish. And again, please ask if you're having any questions, technological or otherwise, don't hesitate to email me. And I have open Zoom hours today from 2 to 3. I'd love to see you there. All right, so hang out if you want, ask questions. If not, I'll see you tomorrow or at Zoom office hours.
Hello, in our series.
So for the folks that are still there, can I ask you, is it just the last video that's the problem, or is it all of them for you?
I'll check.
Just the last one for me.
Okay, that seems to be all that I'm hearing is the last one. So maybe I'll just maybe I'll try to delete it and add it again in a different way.
Yeah, it's only the last one.
Just the last one. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Okay.
The data by indicator. Okay, so that might take me a little while to figure that out, but I'll get it pretty soon. I'll check back in an hour or so, and I hope that it's up. If not, it'll be up before this evening. All right, so yeah, feel free if you have any other questions, give me an email later today, and I'll be here for a couple more minutes if you have something right now. All right, Araceli, I'm gonna sign out here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. And I'm working on the video here, guys. I should have it soon. Just keep checking back. And I'll send out a message when I get it fixed. All right, see you tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is everyone back?
Okay, hi everyone. If you would feel comfortable turning on your cameras, we would really appreciate that. Can we get a little energy check? Thumbs up if we're hanging in there sideways. I feel that. So Ada and I would just like to reiterate that because it's we're doing a lot of our stuff remotely, using Instagram and Zoom and checking Canvas is really vital for this whole experience. Yeah, we're just gonna have a lot of updates on there for you all, access to resources, cool events. I know my breakout room, we discussed about having a movie night and we're planning that behind the scenes. So yeah, we're gonna put all the links to all that stuff in Instagram. I don't know if Araceli wants to add anything.
Yeah. So we're really excited. We're planning like a collab thing between us, as well as like I think it's also in the works to do something as a whole summer bridge. So be on the lookout for that. I do want to say if you don't have Instagram for whatever reason, like let me or Jorge know, and we can definitely accommodate to that, you know, like either by text or by email. So definitely let us know. But yeah, definitely just check out the things. Well, oh no. Can anyone else not hear me? Like,
I can hear you.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh no. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, definitely check that out. There's a lot of things coming up. Yeah. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I would also like to add checking email. Your Sonoma email is also really vital.